Hey, Scream Hearts.
Welcome to another fun-filled, action-packed episode of Ghoul Talk.
Woo! What are we talking about today?
In keeping with Pride 2021, talking about Pride horror all month long, both on our shows. And all month, we've been talking about it in the Hpusa TV horror music and movies group. Today, we're going to take a look at drag horror, drag artists in horror movies or other artists that their look is totally inspired of these creations of horror and glamour and goth and gore and filth, and it's all this beautiful package and this amazingly expressive art form.
Today's episode is dedicated to HPUSA's very own Les Price's late father, Les Harrison. If you don't know, Les Harrison, aka Queen Mother, aka Mama Les, he was the first drag queen of color to ever perform in an all-whites only club in Philadelphia. So today we dedicate this episode to him.
As we found, there's actually quite a few really cool intersections of drag and horror, not only in the cinema and the small screen, but also Broadway, of course. And in the last episode, we did talk about Psycho, 1960, how a lot of these movies often portrayed cross-dressers as homicidal maniacs, dealing with that sexual frustration. This really changed in the 70s overall being androgynous, and camp comes into play and everything gets campy and comic and satire. Of course, we saw that with Rocky Horror Show debuting on stage in London, 1973, and the movie Rocky Horror Picture Show in 1975, which we also discussed.
And there was no going back.
Which brings us to the drag actor and writer Charles Busch, who had many satirical films and plays. His plays included Vampire Lesbians of Sodom, which was on Broadway in 1984. Some of his movies include Psycho Beach Party from 2000 and Die Mommy Die from 2003. In Die Mommy Die, he actually plays the lead role. So he's all dressed to kill or be killed. There are a few modern ones we found. These are independent films. Killer Unicorn from 2019 looks absolutely fabulous.
I have to watch this. This looks so amazing. When I watched the trailer, I was like, how did I not see this?
Someone's in a unicorn mask, and a party boy whose drag queen and queer friends help save his life, but all these other people around him are being killed, and it just looks absolutely bananas.
Characters and the actors, I was like, oh, this just looks like a fun movie. I can't even believe I didn't even know it existed. So I'm watching it soon. Yeah.
We should also talk about Death Drop Gorgeous, another one from 2020. So these are fairly recent. Of course, the Death Drop being famous in drag stage.
I was going to say, there's got to be some death drops in here, right?
I only wish I could
I'm way too scared. I'm way too scared.
No, I am not that limber. This movie finds a dejected bartender and an aging drag queen trying to survive as a mass maniac slaughters gay men and drag queens and drains them of blood. Yes. Looks phenomenal.
Next, we're going to talk about American Horror Story, which is one of my favorite anthology series ever. Ryan Murphy, creator, LGBTQ community. Love him, love everything he's done. One of my favorite characters, definitely one of my top 3 seasons, is Hotel, where Dennis O'Hare plays the lovely Liz Taylor. And I love that there's this one scene where he comes in as a man and he would leave his family and he would come into the room. He would rent out rooms just to kind of be himself and dress as himself. And the Countess comes in, who is Lady Gaga, and I'm not going to really give anything away if you haven't seen it yet, but she says, I see you come in here, you look like a man, you dress like a man, but you smell like a woman, because she can smell people's blood. So it's kind of like just this awesome take and twist that he made where it's like, you truly are a woman on the inside, but your outside's a man. She then is christened as Liz Taylor and will forever be her own person. And then he also has Trixie Mattel in Roanoke, he always tries to, have LGBTQ and queer representation. Trixie Mattel and Katya have a YouTube show where they talk about horror and stuff like that. So it's definitely, you know, drag and horror. Ryan Murphy would love you for your horror, and you're always including everyone who's all for equality and promoting the queer community, and we just love him so much.
I think anyone familiar with the art of horror drag knows the Boulet brothers. I'm a huge fan. I found their show Dragula on Netflix. Seasons 2 and 3 are on there. And they've done Shudder exclusives. I believe there's some on Prime. They have 3 seasons of the show, and they're like the name in horror punk drag. Back in 2013, they had the Dragula party, the Boulet brothers, they're longtime partners, Swanthala and Drakmorda, and obviously they host the show now, but this original party, this awesome, they described it like, it's a lot like the shows, it's drag queens doing Fear Factor. Any basic bitch can lip sync is what they said. So they literally, they are doing Fear Factor level stuff, like stuff that might make you puke or really go off. And then they do a floor show, and then all of the drag artists, they'll do photo shoots, but it's definitely like gore. Like one of the girls redid herself as this alien queen, complete with like a fetus coming out. It's not just makeup, it's prosthetics, it's special effects.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's incredible. They've said that radical punk rock, do what we want spirit has been a part of drag for decades, and they took their love of the horror and the gory, and they took it next level. And the Boulet brothers are fabulous because they always come out in matching outfits, and they do like the whiteout contacts, and they'll do like these crazy long red
I've seen pictures. I haven't watched the show yet, but I need to.
Also featured Landon Sider, who's a drag king. And I honestly didn't know until I saw this. So that's a woman who does male drag, or, you know, identifying female doing male drag. And it was just the level of artistry, again, was incredible. And I definitely found inspiring in my own artworks, you know?
Yeah. Oh, we should see that more often.
There are definitely some awesome horror drag artists that may not have made the show circuit yet, but they're out there doing their thing, performing, doing their art. You know, one of my favorite quotes is definitely like, make your fucking art. Whatever you are compelled to make, you need to create that. We can mention a few of them here. Charity Kane, Harry Whitfield, 23-year-old London-based artist, performer with punk aesthetic and taste for nightmarish beauty. And one of the things that struck me on Charity Kane's website, there's these famous like Disney characters or comic characters, and she's taken her own like gory kind of spin on there.
Right up my alley.
Yeah, the interpretation is so imaginative. James Majesty is one that stuck out to me immediately. She was on season 2 of Dragula. She's 27 and from Seattle. James Majesty will have this full-on queen look, but then, you know, zombify it. And also these amazing special effects. The tacks in the head and it pulled away to reveal that glitter skull is just
so amazing.
Victoria Elizabeth Black, who was on season 2 of Dragula. I think it's great too how young a lot of these artists are, really carving out a name for themselves. Victoria Elizabeth Black, of course, memorable for that, the glowfish. She made it for a deep sea rave, and it's incredible, like full on sea creature, like something you would see coming out of a movie shop. This look is from an 80s prom, right? It's like Beetlejuice meets.
You want it. This is how you would, I picture you dressing.
Another member of the House of Black, Opulence Black. Deranged like Mickey Mouse look for you, Steph.
I love Disney. I love Disney, and I love villains, and I love deranged, good Disney characters.
I really like an interpretation of something that is known other than, you know, the trademark look, or a reimagining of it. That's what I like to see.
Also just like something innocent from my childhood, just being turned into something that I love as an adult.
It's growing up with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your tastes change and evolve over time. And Michaela Gottlieb, or Gottmik, was on this past season of RuPaul's Drag Race. Really refreshing to see that sort of edgy goth horror vibe taking the main stage of the main competition of Drag Race. And Gottmik actually made like top 4 in Drag Race. And her looks are so wild. And I just think there's something so real and raw about it. Any kind of costuming, art form, any kind of makeup, yeah, you're covering up and you're changing it, but it's like that real thing coming out.
It's art, and it's like your inner passions, your inner thoughts, your inner emotions kind of coming out.
It's such a multi-dimensional way of expression. And the performers, they're stage performers, like in all this costumes and makeup, and some people are in full prosthetic outfits. It's definitely a varied art form and has amazing intersections with horror. This was a super brief survey, so definitely if you have a favorite horror drag performer that you follow, include it in the comments. Let's keep the discussion going.
I do have to say, I know it's Pride Month and we are spotlighting, LGBTQ, queer, drag, everything, the whole community, but keep it going all year long. Last weekend, I went to a drag brunch. I had the time of my life with friends. Support the community, support them all year long. Hpusa does.
Make sure to subscribe and join the Facebook group if you are on Facebook. We always link to that as well.
All right, Scream Hearts, thank you for joining us today in this episode. Tune in 2 weeks for another episode of Ghoul Talk. Subscribe, like, comment, as Annahelle said. And until next time.